also in our country, in Switzerland. Enterprises of all sizes maintain close contacts in China, for example, and without claim to completeness, Schindler, Kaba, Georg Fischer, Bühler, Rieter, Swatch Group, Sulzer, Holcim, and so on. In addition, the service industry, banking and insurance increasingly dedicates itself to the Chinese market, knowing that the development potential is greater than ever before. However, in spite of Chinese entrance into the World Trade Organization, WTO, in 2001, there are still plentiful regulatory provisions that strongly impair rewarding business activities. Altogether, there are about 300 or a little bit more Swiss enterprises with approximately 55,000 employees settled in China today, which for our small country, only as large as the island of the province of Hainan or a tenth of the province of Yunnan, is nevertheless quite considerable. Today, trade volume amounts to approximately 9 billion Swiss francs with a rather balanced commercial balance sheet. The increase in the import accounts for approximately 20%, in export approximately 30% within 1 year. Today, China is the third biggest trade partner of Switzerland after the European Union and the United States. I came to the chapter Science. In the last 10 years, the contacts between the colleges, polytechnics and universities, not to mention the high schools in Switzerland and China, have developed so strongly that it's impossible to give a reliable overview in such a few words. It gives me great pleasure that Mrs. Dr. Flavia Schlegel is among us this evening. She's the new director, we heard it, of Swissmix, the Contact and Switching Center for Science, Research, Technology and Innovation based in Shanghai. Ladies and gentlemen, research and science are, from my perspective, the breeding ground for the development of a society. In any case, a reliable basis for cooperation like communication among people. Currently, the University of Zurich and the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, together with their partners institutions in China, for instance, the Beijing University, Tsinghua University, Tongji University, Fudan University, and so on, are playing a prominent role. Those of you here this evening are the best proof. Finally, many Swiss high schools, I have the list, about 24 schools in Switzerland, I didn't know that, have added Chinese language to their curriculums in the last years and maintain regular contact with high schools in China through exchange student programs. Above all, this student exchange opens doors for the young generation and gives new chances and perspectives. A great potential exists in the field of knowledge transfer. Thus, I permit myself the following personal remarks. It strikes me that our friends from China are characterized by remarkable drive, profound commitment, language skill, and exemplary discipline. I wish that this commitment of the Chinese students would fire the imaginations of the students in Switzerland. Because we in Switzerland and Europe may not rest on our laurels. Otherwise, we run the risk of missing the train. I hope that I miss the train. Because once it leaves the station, it is too late to jump on. You have probably already remarked, I come to the protection of environment, that we in Switzerland live in a really privileged country. Our standard of living is very high. Healthcare and social security are well developed and equally accessible by each inhabitant of our country. Switzerland has water supply, electricity or energy, an outstanding infrastructure, as for example the public transport system. However, these achievements didn't simply fall from the sky, but were the result of large investments and decisions that the Swiss population had to approve. They were complex processes and, to this very day, require a great deal of effort. In comparison to China, our small state is characterized by high sustainability regarding environmental protection. I would like to mention in this context the strict requirements for the preservation of the environment, for example, the establishment of purification plants, refuse incineration plants, strict standards for heating installations, building insulations, regional and urban planning process, and so on. From my own observations in your wonderful country, in China, I would like to note that the authorities in China, the central government, have likewise recognized the urgency of these tasks. Now they are very consistently putting these measures in place in order to prevent a disaster. I sincerely hope that Switzerland can function as a model in these areas and effectively support the relevant projects. Now to the chapter of the politics. You may ask yourselves what leads me from the responsibility of sustainability to the level of politics. I will try to answer that question in the following. Politics play an important role in the conversion of these demands aligned to sustainability. In China, there is the central government, the provincial and the municipal authorities, those who directly influence and carry responsibility, indeed increasingly, as I have observed, with the inclusion of more and more democratic processes. In Switzerland, with its extreme democratic structures, there are the federation, the cantons or the states, and the cities and the municipalities, whereby the mandatory popular vote guarantees greater participation by the population. Thus, the Swiss population has a more direct joint responsibility in the organization of the future. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1996, it's about 20 years ago, a Swiss federal president, it was Pascal Delamoura, visited China for the first time officially. You can imagine, only 20 years ago. Since then, the federal government recognizes, it's time to recognize it, that in order to strengthen and deepen the relations between both countries, there is great necessity for regular high-level contacts. In the last year, members of the federal government, usually accompanied by economic delegations, have regularly visited China. Prime Minister Wen Jianbao's participation at the World Economic Forum Davos next Tuesday and Wednesday further proves the good relations between both countries. He will arrive on Tuesday at noon here in Zurich. Here I will mention that the World Economic Forum Davos has conducted a similar forum in autumn in Dalian and in Tianjin for the past 2 years. By the way, the Swiss-Chinese Society has invited the mayor of Dalian, Mr. Jacques Deren, to the lecture on the topic, the People's Republic of China and the World Financial Crisis in Zurich next Tuesday. Finally, it's also worth mentioning the exemplary partnership between the city of Zurich and the city of Kunming.